What fertilizer do I use for zoysia grass? Is this mildew on my apple tree? And how do I apply Plant Trust? Folks, I've got answers to these questions and more coming up on Garden Sense. Hey everybody, I'm Tim Ward and welcome back to Garden Sense. Well, the temperatures have been steadily increasing, as have the number of emails that I get each and every week from you guys. It's been a little bit overwhelming, but hey, that's a good thing because the emails that you send us help us build the content for this show, so keep sending them in. Look, today is May 7th, and there's a lot of stuff that we want to go over, so we selected 5 questions that we want to address here today. So, buckle up everybody, let's jump right in. The first question is from Greg. Hi Tim, a good friend just bought a 60-year-old home that was not lived in for 2 or 3 years. The grass was cut but not treated for weeds and probably not fertilized. What should he do first? Weeds? Fertilizer? A combo? Check the pH or wait until the fall? So I would recommend that you actually fertilize and then go ahead and try and kill whatever weeds you have. I would put down Turf Trust Professional Starter Formula right now. And then if the weather's warm enough, I would actually put down Image All-in-One Weed Killer. Image is gonna kill most of your broadleaf weeds and grassy weeds like crabgrass, nut sedge, and a host of others. At that point, by, let's say, end of May, early June, you should start to get a better lay of the land of what that lawn is going to look like and the overall health. If it needs to be overseeded, perhaps dethatched, and those things you're going to want to do in the fall anyway. So what I would actually recommend is put down Turf Trust fertilizer, put down Image weed control, and then I would wait until the fall before I would consider any overseeding, any dethatching, and anything like that. Start with the fertilizer, get to the weeds, and then hey, send us some pictures and we can give you some more advice on what we recommend for over the summer. The next question is from Wanda. Good afternoon, Tim. What fertilizer do you recommend using on zoysia grass? My yard is half an acre and I need to know how many bags of fertilizer to order. So zoysia grass is a warm season grass, which means when it goes dormant, it turns brown. So my guess is it's really been starting to green up the last couple of weeks. And so the fertilizer we recommend is actually Turf Trust. Now, personally, I think that the Turf Trust Professional Starter Formula is the way you want to go, and it's available over at rosensonline.com. Now, in terms of how much to order, you said you have about a half acre. Well, a half acre is just under 22,000 square feet. Well, the starter formula comes in 5,000 square foot bags and 10,000 square foot bags. So I would actually recommend that you get 2, it's called 10M, which means 10,000, 2 of the 10M professional starter bags. And if you think that you need a little bit more, you can obviously always pick up a 5,000 square foot bag, again, of that same formulation. So I would definitely recommend Turf Trust. And again, if your zoysia grass is starting to green up, then now is the best time to fertilize it. Head over to rosensonline.com to pick up everything you need. The third question is from Kathy. Tim, is this mildew on my newly planted apple tree? Thanks for sending in the picture. I'll be quite honest with you, I'm not 100% sure. I say that because newly planted trees, when they start to bud, can look a little bit fuzzy or furry at times. Again, as some of those buds are starting to come in, as the flowers are starting to develop. But to be on the safe side, I actually would recommend that you do something about it because, again, I'm not there to actually inspect it. I would actually recommend that you put down Monterey's Complete Disease Control. If this is a mildew, it will definitely help clear it up. And if the tree isn't going through anything right now, this product isn't going to hurt it. In fact, it's actually going to provide some protection in the coming weeks and the coming months. So head over to rosensonline.com, pick up Monterey Complete Disease Control, and if that is in fact mildew, it'll clear it right up. The next question is from Peter. Tim, I enjoy the podcasts. How do I apply Plant Trust fertilizer? I don't see instructions on the bag. So one of the great things about Plant Trust is that it's super easy to use. Now, you wanted to know how to apply it, and I'm not quite sure if you're talking about the measurements or if you're talking about the application, the physical application itself. So here's what I can tell you. In terms of measuring what you need, on the back of the bag, there is actually a formula that you need to basically calculate how many pounds or how many ounces of plant trust you need. Now, I can tell you that a dry cup of plant trust is about 6.5 ounces. So again, you can use that to kind of gauge, you know, hey, if you need a couple of pounds, you're going to need a couple of scoops. You need 5 ounces, you're going to need a little bit less than a full cup of plant trust fertilizer. The good news is, because plant trust is a slow feeding fertilizer, if you put a little bit too extra down, it's not going to hurt the plant. If the plant can't take it in and can't use it, nothing's going to happen to it. It just won't try to take it in. And again, your plant's going to be completely safe. Now, in terms of where and how to kind of apply it, what I do is you actually want to sprinkle it all throughout the root zone of the tree or the shrub where you are putting this down. So again, if you're not entirely sure what the root zone is, usually that's the drip line of when the branches come out. The root system will spread about as far as the branches come out. So again, if you got a really tall tree and the branches are really, really spread out, then your root zone is going to be pretty big and you're going to be putting down a couple of pounds of plant trust. But again, on the back of the bag, it spells out how to calculate the exact amount that you need. Use that 1 cup of dry plant trust is about 6.5 ounces. And then again, sprinkle it all throughout the root zone. And again, if you put a little too much down, nothing's going to happen. The plant's going to be just fine. The last question for today is from Bob. Tim, I have what I believe is red clover in patches across the lawn. It is an upright clove with a purple head. I tried a strong application of high-quality weed and feed, but no effect. I was reading about a weed killer, Verdone Extra. Is this a possibility, or can you help? Okay, so a couple of things. First of all, I don't think weed and feeds work. I think most of them, frankly, are garbage. So if you're gonna ask me, I would never waste my money on a weed and feed again. When it's time to fertilize, put down a fertilizer. When it's time to kill weeds, use a weed killer. Again, that's just my opinion. Over the years, I have tried out a couple of ones, and basically what happens is either your lawn isn't going to be fertilized well enough, or it's not going to do a good job of killing the weeds, because the timing just is never quite right for either side, which is why you need to be making 2 separate applications, a fertilizer and a weed killer. So again, just my 2 cents. Now, in terms of red clover, this is a pretty common weed. So we would actually recommend you just head over to rosensonline.com and pick up a bottle of Image All-in-One Weed Killer. Lists red clover right there on the back of the bottle as a weed that it's going to kill. Going to be very, very effective. Kills over 200 broadleaf weeds, crabgrasses, nut sedges, things like that. So it's a very, very high quality product. So I would recommend that you actually put down Image. Now, if that doesn't work, then I'll be perfectly honest with you, it's not red clover. So if you want to send us in a picture so we can help you identify it, we're happy to do that. But you seem like you know what you're doing. So again, if you say it's red clover, I'm going to take your word for it. You're going to want to put down Image All-in-One Weed Killer, and that should do the trick. All right, folks, just a couple final thoughts before we wrap up this week's video podcast. Folks, as a reminder, over at rosensonline.com, we have the Spring Garden Special going on right now. Now, the Spring Garden Special is specifically designed for your gardens, for your landscaping, because it contains everything that those plants are going to need. It's got a single bag of plant trust, it has 3 bags of garden trust, and it has a bottle of Kickstart. And when you combine those products, look, it's going to cover any tree, shrub, flower that you have. And oh, by the way, Memorial Day is just a couple of days away. A lot of gardens are going to be going in, and a Garden Trust and Kickstart are going to be perfect for those gardens, especially vegetable gardens. So head over to rosensonline.com and pick up the Spring Garden Special. It's going to run for just a couple of more weeks. Now, folks, I want to remind you that if you haven't put down Dimension, you've got to get it down. That window is starting to close. So make sure you put down Dimension right now to try and get a hold of that crabgrass and help prevent that from breaking through the soil surface like it's going to do here very, very soon if it hasn't already. As I said, that window is starting to close. So if you haven't put it down, get it down right now. Folks, we have been getting dozens and dozens of emails every day, and frankly, we really appreciate it because, as I said at the top of the program, it's what helps us create this video podcast each and every week. So if you've got a question, make sure you send it directly to me. Tim@rosensonline.com is my email. Give me about 48 hours or so to respond. I promise that if I receive it, you will get a personalized response from me. Folks, as always, I hope you have an amazing rest of the week. Thank you for the time that you spent with us today. God bless.